10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Live, SEGA live here Wednesday after the MAHLE Motorsports Nationals Mountain Madness. And Mr. Dugenay Bland over there, it was a maddening good time at Knoxville Dragway. We just got done with Jackson over there in West Tennessee, and now we were in East Tennessee. What a spectacular Southeast Gases Association event it was. I know you're glad that you had the opportunity to be on Old Rocky Top.
Yeah, man, it was a great time. The action was great. You could tell we're getting right down to the nitty-gritty of it. Only now 2 races left, and you can tell that the points are mattering, and championship hopes are in the within some people's grasp. They were laying it all out there on the line this past weekend. They
were certainly doing just that. We saw excitement from test and tune all the way to the finals themselves, spanning Friday and Saturday, all the SEGA action there at Knoxville Dragway. What a great crowd we had, and we'll definitely dive into that in particular in just a few moments. We got Quain Stott on, the former owner of the Southeast Gassers Association, and here recently he's been putting all of his tuning prowess behind Jaron Purdue and also others out there, and they have been performing exceptionally well. And then he enters HGAS and picks up a win in the Corn Pop Studebaker. So in the driver interview after the win, he expressed that it was different. So looking forward to talking to Quain, who can drive just about anything, on what it was like and how things have been for him in the world of SEGA. Maybe less stressful for him these days. I hope so. Well, Dugenay, look, good to have you along. I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. We might have David Lancaster, the voice of the Southeast Gassers, pop in. If not, we're going to be rolling along here with SEGA Live, reviewing the MAHLE Motorsport Nationals Mountain Madness that took place this past weekend at Knoxville Dragway. We're going to shift gears. Remember, the official 4-speed for the Southeast Gases Association is G-Force Transmissions. We're glad to have them on board for your gasser. It's G-Force. Even for your street application, they got what you need. G-Force Racing Transmissions. This word from Larice Motorsports Insurance, and I hope some of our competitors did have Larice Motorsports Insurance, and we'll talk with Mr. Quain Stott next.
Larice Motorsports Insurance offers drag racers the broadest insurance policies in the industry. Larice Motorsports Insurance was created by racers for racers. Larice insures race cars on and off the track, trailers and equipment. Larice even pays racers contingencies at the fling bracket races. Don't wait until it's too late. Call Larice Motorsports Insurance today.
All right, and with us now live, Quain Stott, former IHRA world champion and pro modified, and well, getting it done throughout the world of drag racing. Obviously, people know the story. Founder and owner of the Southeast Gases Association for many, many years, and now in a different role, but still getting it done. Quain, congratulations on the win, man.
Thank you, buddy. That was a little different and definitely not expected. Todd called me Friday morning and asked me would I drive the car, and I told him no. I got my hands full with Jaron's deal. And he said, you won't have to do nothing but get in it and drive. And I said, well, that'll be different. And then, but I still told him no. And then Heather said, that'd be fun. for once to get to watch you race without worrying about so much about you getting hurt. And I said, well, my luck could blow a clutch up or something. But anyway, he called me back and I said, you know what, the more I think about it, I think I will drive it. I just add that to my resume. So I didn't know how to describe it later, but once I got thinking about it, I think the best way to describe H-gas to somebody like me that's been 10 times that fast was slow motion fun, because I enjoyed it. It was a blast. I think once you get competitive, it don't matter what you're driving. I wouldn't have had any more fun if I'd have been in a pro mod.
Being that you didn't have to really worry about the tuning duties, that had to take a little bit of pressure off you because you have your own tuning duties that you're taking care of. How did those things come about, and how difficult was it this past weekend to tune those guys with the conditions that we had?
Actually, we come off of trying to remember when we was at Jackson. I tuned Jaron over the phone, and that was difficult because he called me first round of qualifying and said the car went, I think he said 607, and it was in 2,800 feet of air. I said that car should have went 04, 05. And I said, he said it spun. I said, well, did it spin because the track was good or because the track was bad? Because that's something a lot of tuners miss, or well, tuners don't, but a lot of people that's learning is a car will spin a tire just as bad on a good track as it will a bad track because it sticks the tire and wads it up. So we took a guess at it second round of qualifying, and I had him make the necessary changes, and it went, I forget now, but I think he went to number one qualifier, and it was 6.0 something. But luckily, the engine part at Jackson was close enough to the race before. We was giving up a couple of hundreds there because I wasn't there and I didn't figure his nose. It looked like he was good. But when we got to Knoxville, first round qualifying, he went 07 with a 0. Todd Oden went 07 with a 2. And I said, that's too close. I don't like to be that close. So we made a bunch of changes between first and second round of qualifying. The air got 300 feet worse, I think it was, from first round of qualifying to second round, and we went 04. And everybody else slowed down. The closest thing to us was a 13. So we picked it up about 600 between those two rounds, and we left it there all day. But when you talk about difficulty in driving the other car, one of the problems that ended up happening was in the finals. The air changed 450, 500 feet between semifinals and finals. So I needed to make a change on Jaron's car, but I didn't realize it till it was too late because I was driving the H-gas car. And by the time I got back to Jaron's, they was done calling him out for the finals. And he went 04 in the finals, but had we tuned for the air, because it come down to 2,700 feet, I think it was, we would have went 599 or 6 flat. And his competition went 08 and had him 2 on the tree. So he only won by 200. So we almost lost the race by me not being there on top of it. But luckily, even though I didn't make the necessary changes, the 04 was good enough. But I think y'all know me, I want to get all of it out of them. So we left 400 or 500 flat on the table in the finals, but we still had enough to win.
Well, we'll continue on the tuning and performance that you've got with Jaron, that hot rod, and with his driving. Certainly, there's a reason why he's leading the points. I want to talk about the performance, though, of Knoxville Dragway. How did that relationship form? And basically, we kind of get like Shady Side 2, and it's that track that just feels right for SEGA. SEGA's gone to a lot of places and rolled in and rolled out, and Knoxville is one of those, like, it just feels like another home, and it makes a whole lot of sense. So how did Knoxville come about?
When I started Southeast Gassers in 2011, and by 2000 and I'm going to say 14 or 15, I had 20-something racetracks on a waiting list. That's how popular it had got. And I was telling people I wasn't looking for racetracks. I was looking for homes. I was looking for places to stay. And of course, we started out at Greer Dragway, and in 2016 we moved to Shady Side. because Greer couldn't handle the spectator parking, and Greer has a Sunday curfew, and we like to leave Sunday open for rainouts, so the racers don't have to come back. That's something that's on my contract, was Sunday had to be set aside for a rain date. So no hard feelings at all with Greer. As a matter of fact, it's a good problem to have, is when you run out of parking for spectators. That was in 2016. We moved it to Shadyside simply because of more parking. And then about the same time along in there somewhere, I don't remember, I think maybe 2014 or 2015, Tommy Harrell run Knoxville. And I called Tommy, and he was on my waiting list. And I said, how bad you want to race? He said, whatever we got to do. So we made a deal with Tommy, and we started going to Knoxville. And there again, it just turned into home for us. And the 2 races there definitely works. 2 races at Shadyside works. It's really hard, because sometimes you feel like you're flooding the market when you try to have 2 races in the same place. But Shadyside works well because first of the year and last of the year. And we was a little nervous about Knoxville, but hey, it works. And I don't think that was a record crowd at Knoxville, but that's been a record crowd since West took it over. I don't think we had that many, but since West took the drag strip over, he's had real bad luck with Southeast Gasser because of the weather. First race this year had a decent crowd, but if you remember, it never rained a drop, but the weatherman was calling for rain, and anybody in the promotional business knows what that does. It cannot rain a drop. If a weatherman's calling for rain, it cuts your crowd in half. So, but that track is perfect. They do a super job prepping the track, so we never have to worry about conditions. Some of them said the track was slick on top end. They wasn't the same racetrack I was. That track was perfect. I didn't see any problems whatsoever all weekend.
You think guys are just making a lot of horsepower on the top end, and the tires were just slipping versus it being a track issue?
Well, these cars with that 10.5-inch tire, they don't hook up like a Pro Mod would out there, even though they're 3,000 horsepower less. But, that's what we deal with everywhere we go. So you can't blame the racetrack because you got a small tire on it. But I didn't see any issues with the track there at all. I walked down there a couple of times, and but like I say, Tommy does a great job. I never worry about the racetrack there.
Well, Quain, with Jaron doing so well, we know that you're doing the turning of the knobs to give him the performance that he's got, and you couple that with his driving. Well, he's leading the points, and Knoxville was big with Ernie going out early, that he was really able to stretch things. How did the relationship form with Jaron and you being on board with a car that's got history, but you all are certainly making history with it that much more now?
Jaron and I built Jaron's dad a super stock car in 1981 when I was 21 years old. So I've got history with that family. And that's how that worked out. Jaron, when he started running Southeast Gassers, it was because mine and his dad's relationship from way, way back. And if you remember, he just had an old car that actually he bought from me, and it was a top 15 car at best. And he run that thing. He definitely paid his dues. He got beat first round at every race he went to for 2 years. And the stud muffin car had went 2 years, almost 2 years winless. It hadn't won a race in over 2 years. And it come up for sale probably for that reason, because it was cheap. Anybody that knows what he paid for it, Jaron don't have no ton of money like everybody thinks he does. I mean, Jaron, a truck driver, he owns one truck. He ain't got a trucking company, so he don't have a big budget. As a matter of fact, I don't charge Jaron a penny for tuning his car. He tried to pay me at, I believe it was Ringo, and I wouldn't take it. And I said, no, if I was doing it for money, you couldn't afford it. But I said, I'm doing this because I had a point to prove. Because when he bought that car, everybody said he bought a winning car. And I said, no, he did not. This car had won a race in 2 years. I said, but it's going to. and we ain't gonna win by a little bit. We're gonna make it hurt, because some things got said that ticked me off, and I said, I'll show you what we can do. And that's why I finally made him take the lettering off of it, because they got all the time announcing, oh, this is a car's got winning history. And I said, yeah, maybe 3 or 4 years ago it does, but when Jared bought that car, it was a top 3 car at best. And it was behind the first race he went to with it. It was behind 600s, I think it was. Tim Hall and Todd Oden qualified ahead of him. Might have been more than that. I can't remember the numbers now. And I didn't touch it at that race. I said, run it just like it is. And then we started on it in Union, which would have been last year. And he made the first qualifying round. And we come back and made some changes. I worked on the car between first and second round of qualifying, picked it up 400s. And we've picked the car up well over a tenth since then. And it's been fixing little things. The car was actually, I would give anything if we had that engine in a different car. The car's really a pretty ragged out car, but it's what he's got, and he don't have the money to build a new car right now, so we're running that one, making the best of it. They don't want us to build a new car, because at that point, they probably have to make some rule changes in Seagas.
What are some of the things that, I'm sure you can't say everything, but how much work was it to get that car up to where it is now?
Most everything was just gear ratios, getting the engine tuned up like it should be. I don't think the last 2 years, the engine had ever really been tweaked. There's a lot of stuff we do. Most people don't realize we got different transmissions for different weather conditions and different track conditions. And all that stems from my Pro Mod years. In Pro Mod, we changed gear ratios between rounds. And we have changed them in Jaren's car between qualifying. Just like I was saying earlier, we really needed to change the tune-up in the finals, but I didn't have time. And like we go to Mississippi, that'll be a totally different car, because if the weather's like it was last time we was there, it'll be somewhere around 200 feet altitude. I have seen it as low, I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. The first time we went there, it was minus 200 feet. So a car racing then thought it was in underground. That's how good under sea level, 200 feet below sea level. So you got perfect weather conditions. A lot of the racers call that mine shaft conditions. When you hear them say that, that's what they're talking about. Your air is so good, you're actually underground. Your car feels like it's underground. So when we go to Gulfport, if that stands true, and last year it was 200 feet, so it's 200 above sea level, that car will be totally different. There'll be nothing on it the same, and we plan to go move the record again, because that'll be the place to do it. But as far as changes go to the car itself, the just little stuff that we had to do, I'll give you an example. That car didn't even have a front drive shaft loop in it. And had I known that, the second race is when I realized it didn't. When we got under to change transmissions, I told Jaren, I said, don't come back. This car had been going for 5 or 6 years without even a front drive shaft loop in it. I said, that's the most dangerous, stupidest thing I've ever seen anybody do. I mean, that's the first thing to do to a race car, put a front drive shaft loop in it. So that's how bad the car was. And we put one in it now. And but it's been a little bit challenging. The car won't 60 foot because of the way the ladder bars and stuff's put on it. It sets way too high. It's way above the rules. So the car sitting that high hits wheelie bar too hard. It transfers weight too good. And
he got a phone call. You're muted.
I am. Dogs have been barking. Yeah. That's the phone call.
Yep.
That is the phone call screen.
It is.
Quain was like, "Hey, I'm gonna use my cell phone." I'm like, "Yeah, man, that works fine." And he's got a phone call. That's what this is. So whoever you are, end your phone call now.
trying to do a show here.
Right. Hey, this happens. You've done enough of them. I've done enough of them. When you go live, you just never know what might happen. Definitely want to pick that back up with Quain. We were getting some great information, and I think we still got a lot of good information ahead of us concerning not just Quain's involvement with the Southeast Gassers Association, but beyond, and like what he's got going on. And looks like Heather's got him back, and we'll get Quain back in as soon as possible here when he's ready to go. So, phone calls during shows.
So that happens every time.
Modern, modern technology, modern problems. Quain, man, got you back.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. And that was my tax lady, but I still didn't answer it. So
I don't blame you.
that's why I wasn't talking about. That's why I wouldn't mention money. But I didn't know this thing would ring whenever I was on live feed, and it rang. I'm like, oh no! I got 2 texts a while ago, and I said, I hope this thing don't ring. But anyway, you're lucky we got through that far. I don't know where I got to with that story. We was talking about weather conditions and Jaren's car, and I remember talking about the drive shaft loop issue.
Yes.
The car, the biggest problem we're having with it now, we could be running that 604 could turn into a 6 flat that we ran without any tune-up changes. But the car won't 60 foot. It's 60 foot's awful. Hang on just a second. Heather, text them, tell them I'm doing a live interview right now. So anyway, we would love to this winter make some changes on the car, but remember, I'm retired now. Jaren tried to get me to redo the car this winter, and I wouldn't do it. So we're really struggling. 134 60 foot is the absolute best we can get out of that car, and it should be doing 128, 129. But with the way it's set up, with the high center of gravity and just everything wrong on it, we're just having to do it with sheer horsepower. And I did pick the car up 400s by changing some stuff on the chassis from when we bought it or when Jaren bought it. But that's all it's got without a total redo and lowering the car down. And if you notice now, the car leaves with the wheels in there to get the 12-inch that SEGA requires, 15-inch. And when you put it in second gear, it stays glued to the racetrack. So I was able to get the car to do right because, wheelies they rob ET. And that's why I made a rule if you had to do them, because if a rule wasn't there, nobody would do wheelies. And you can bet we're on the minimum, so because that's what a tuner does. He gets all he can get out of one. But hopefully at Gulfport we'll still actually, if the air's around 200 feet, I'm going to say we're going to run low 90 to high 80s. But we're going to need the weather conditions to do it. I can't do it in 2,000 feet of air.
Quain, how many people have you tuned to this point to a championship? How many championship teams have you been involved with at this point in SEGA?
I've been involved in a lot of championship teams, but I haven't tuned to that many championships. I've tuned myself to 3, one in ADBA, one in IHRA, and one in the NMCA. I think it was a deal that those 2 deals added Pro Mod back then. This was back in the 90s. And so I actually got 3 Pro Mod World Championships, but only one major one like IHRA. The other 2 were, they were actually high-end deals at the time. The NMCA was pretty big, but Pro Mod was more of an exhibition. And then in Southeast Gassers, I guess Donovan Stott had 2. And I have to give his dad, Mitch, credit for most of that. I was involved. I taught Donovan. Donovan worked for me here at Stott for 5 years. And then the car that Leslie Horn has now, speaking of winning race cars, that car won 2 championships before Leslie ever bought it. A lot of people don't know that. So if anybody wants to say Jaren's car was a winning car before he got it, guess what? Leslie Horn's won 2 championships before he ever got it. So it's not uncommon for somebody to buy a car and either do good or do bad with it. And I tuned Dina Peristi to a IHRA World Championship in 2016, I think it was, Pro Mod. And I tuned Tim Tyndall to an NHRA Pro Mod win. So I'd have to make you a list. There've been a lot of them. A lot of sweat went into my learning to tune.
It seems like you've done a lot in your racing career. What's retirement been like?
Man, I love it. I'm having some of West Virginia Bones is lemonade now. Y'all know West Virginia Bones? I know
Yes.
You know Bones. You know old Bones.
Right.
I'm having some of his, I'll just call it his lemonade because he said it was lemonade. But no, Heather and I has really enjoyed, actually, speaking of when you was talking about when the Southeast Gasser started in 2011, I tried to retire in 2013. The year I retired from Pro Mod, I was going to retire. And the Southeast Gasser Association was what kept me from doing that, because at that time I was putting money in this deal. It wasn't taking none out. It was 2018 before I ever started showing a profit with it. So I was pouring money in it for all those years. So I was afraid to retire because I was afraid I'd go broke. And so when I sold it in 2023, that was the only thing that held me back. So, and we was semi-retired up to that. So my big thing now is when you see me, wherever you see me there because I want to be, just like Jaren's deal. Like I said, Jaren's family has been a great friend of mine since 1981. His dad and I go way back, and I probably wouldn't tune anybody if I wanted to get paid, because I'm not interested in that. I'm just interested in helping somebody like Jaren that's been a lifelong friend, or his dad has, and Jaren's part of the family, and Jaren's a great driver. Now I have a hard time calming him down. If you've watched him, he's like a gnat in a dog's tail, but you can't get him to slow down. But when he gets in that race car and gets focused, Jaren does a pretty good job of driving, because a bad driver can make a good tuner look bad in a hurry. And a bad tuner can make a good driver look bad. So it has to gel. You have to have a good driver and you have to have a good tuner. Now, if you go into some of the more professional ranks like Top Fuel and Funny Car, it's all tuner. And that's what I like about Southeast Gassers. It takes both. I know some fine, well-tuned cars that's not winning, and I know some good drivers that's not winning. But when you get a tuner and a driver, that's what it takes to win a Southeast Gasser race, because the way the rules are laid out, you know yourself, you don't even allow shift light. So I have to rely on Jaren. Jaren's car has never even had a race pack computer on it. And keep in mind, he's in Ohio and I'm in North Carolina, so we don't get to, our only testing's at the track, usually during qualifying. So if you ever see us not qualify number one, it's because we're trying something. But you notice by second round, we're back to low for the race, because that's when I tell Jaren, I said, look, it's time to get in race mode now. We got to put this aside and go back and get in race mode. But retirement, I'm doing it because I want to. I'm building a fuel altered. I think you know that. It's a 74 era nitro fuel. That's going to be for enjoyment. I'll probably just do single exhibition runs. I don't even know if I'll ever race anybody, because every time I try to race, I get competitive. And I've added H-gas to my resume, so now I got to add fuel altered to my resume.
Hey, fuel altereds, they're coming back in vogue. I mean, they never left because they're forever, but they're gaining a whole lot of popularity and steam once again with this very weekend, IHRA having them, and Chris Graves with Fuel Altered Chaos going to be taking place. I mean, hey, Fuel Altereds are just cool. Yep. They've always been cool, and they always will be cool.
I love them. I'm more into the old school part of it, just like the gasser thing. But I got a lot of really good friends that are doing the Fuel Altered thing now. Pete Dove even took the body off his funny car and turned it into Fuel Altered. And of course, Dan Patanino, Dave Giles, all those guys are great friends. They've all offered to help me. It's unbelievable the people that's come forward wanting to help me with mine, because I know nothing about nitro. I know it will get you killed, and I know to respect it. But I've done everything in the racing world that I can think of. I've drove everything known to man, but I've never had nitro in front of me, so I want to get that off my bucket list before I quit.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. Leslie has even mentioned letting me do some exhibition at Southeast Gassers with it, and if that works out, I think it'll be a big hit. I think it'll do good. Just do an exhibition single runs, later at night when the flames are dark. So I think that'd be fun.
It would be cool. It would be cool. Hey, a little touch of nitro can go a long way.
Oh, you bet. You bet. I can't wait. We fired it up. I've learned that much. I know how to start it, but I don't know how to tune it so it don't blow up. I don't do that.
Quain, before we let you go, I certainly enjoyed your interview with David Lancaster there at the end, and he went. You express that.
I cut it off. My phone rang again, but I believe I'm okay. Keep going.
You're good. You're good. Yep, you're here. So in the winner's interview with David Lancaster, you mentioned that a lot of folks have got away from the whole reason of racing, and especially even SEGA, and that's just have fun.
Yep.
Break that down for us and what you've seen, and how can people get back, even though being competitive, back to fun?
I'm glad you brought that up. Some people might not be glad you brought it up, but I'm glad you did. When we started Southeast Gassers, it was Chicago style match racing, because we only had 7 or 8 cars. So we was pretty much exhibition. And it was me and Greg Porter in the ever final. Me or him won one every race, but nobody cared. It didn't matter. Everybody was having fun. We moved it into eliminations in 2014, I think. And it still was everybody having fun. And back then, there was 4 or 5 cars that won every race, just like it is now. If you look at NHRA Pro Stock, there's about 4 or 5 cars that win every race. You look at Top Fuel, you look at any class, any professional class, there's 4 or 5 cars. When you go back into 1970, NHRA Pro Stock, it was Bill Jenkins, Don Nicholson, Ronnie Sox, and whoever. There was 4 cars. But there was 12 more out there having a blast. And that's no different Southeast Gassers now. What has happened is Southeast, people keep saying the new owners have changed it, the new owners have done this. Yes, they've made a few changes, but they hadn't made any changes that's hurt it. What's hurt Southeast Gassers, the management hasn't changed. The racers have changed. And when I say that, now everybody wants to win. They forgot that we're doing this for fun. I went for 12 years and didn't win a race until I sold it, because I was there having fun. I had the best equipment money could buy. And I think I proved I could win if I needed to, but I wasn't going to win. I was going to have a good time. And that's what I want people to understand and get back to. If I had lost first round in that H-Gas car, I would still have just as much fun, because it was, and I added Friday night, and I forget when I done that. I think 216 or 217. 217, I think it was, to give the racers a chance to make more runs. The little guy, I remember Tony Turner came to me and he said, I'm traveling all over the country with you and only getting to make 3 runs, because he lost first round every race. And I thought about it and I said, you know what? He's right. So I went to the tracks and I said, I want a free Friday night test session for my racers. Of course, they bucked me on a couple tracks. I had to give them $1,000 to do it. But I did. I did it out of my pocket. So now the racers can go race each other, make single runs, do whatever they want to do, use it for a test session. You make 7 or 8 runs Friday night if you want to, and then you still get to make 3 Saturday, even if you lose first round, 2 rounds of qualifying, 1 round eliminations. So you can leave home and make 10 or 12 runs in your car. And that like Rick Taylor's my best example. Rick Taylor drives from Arizona. He won his first round this past weekend. And he's been racing with us like 5 or 6 years. He comes to 4 or 5 races a year. And I guarantee you go listen to the interview David Lancaster did with him in the Tyler Saturday. He's the happiest racer out there. He's happier than any of the guys that's winning. But what I want to stress to these racers is you little guys, quit worrying about winning. Come and have fun. Don't try to if you try to compete with Leslie Horn and them, you're just gonna get aggravated. Because those guys, Leslie and them, they test that car every weekend. Well, you guys is winning are. And let me express something else. It's not money. I get so tired of hearing that I could scream. Ted McKee ain't no rich guy. Daniel Haynes is a forklift mechanic, on the road forklift mechanic. Like I said, Jaron bought that car for what I consider might near nothing, and hadn't spent a whole lot on it since because we've took care of it. He's a truck driver. These people, look, Tim Hall's school teacher. Let's look at the winners from the last race. You had Kenneth Phillips. He puts in swimming pools for a living. BGAS was Ted McKee. I don't know what Ted does for a living, but I remember he built his car in a shop that was so narrow you couldn't even open the doors. I think it was the basement of his house. He had to take the doors off of the car to build it because it wasn't wide enough to open it. Built it himself. Seagas was Jaron, like I said, truck driver. I don't know who won AFX, the guys with the Wild and Woolly.
Jeffrey Ferguson.
Right. I don't know what they do for a living, but I don't think they're super rich. And then H-Gas, the only rich guy you got, and that was me that won a race. and I was driving somebody else's car. So how does people keep harping on this being money? Because I just went down the list of people that won this past weekend, and even H-Gas. I don't know what Todd does for a living, but I can promise you he's not no rich guy. Matter of fact, the transmission in the car is a street transmission. I had to granny shift it. If you noticed, I had to mash the clutch in and let off the throttle to shift because it has synchronizers in it. He told me that when I said, "Oh, no, you're kidding." But I did. If you watch the video and if you can hear, I was having a granny shift that car because Todd don't even have a high dollar transmission in it. And it won H-Gas. So really, people think about the people that won the race. Now, I'm not saying you can go get a job at McDonald's and do this, but let's be real. You do not have to be rich to be a competitor in Southeast Gasser, but you do have to dedicate your life to this car. And that's what these people that's winning do. And that's what takes fun out of it, though. So I just beg everybody to please stop blaming it on the new management and go back to having fun, and let's race. And let's, hey man, every night I found me a buddy to go have a drink with and coffee the next morning, and I enjoyed being there even if I hadn't been racing. So let's look at the racing as a bonus.
I like it. Well, Quain, keep on turning the knobs, and more than likely going to be tuning Jaron to a championship. We still got a few races, but he certainly was able to stretch out the lead, and we look forward to seeing you at the track. Anything else?
I think I'm good, Lee, and I appreciate the time, and I hope I didn't get too carried away, but I just want everybody to let's go back to enjoying racing. Let's quit worrying about winning. Let's go back to having fun. Let them guys that want to win. The rest of us, let's have a good time.
I like it. All right,
brother.
Quain, thanks, man.
Thank you, boys. Enjoyed it.
Quain Stott, former owner of the Southeast Gassers Association, still highly involved and has done it all, it seems, in drag racing, except nitro. But he's getting there. He's tipping the can. And that altered, very cool piece, a very historical piece, too. It's going to be neat to see. Would love to see some exhibition passes and a little bit of nitro. I wouldn't mind that in Southeast Gassers Association. That'd be cool. Now you're muted, Dujanay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed them, man. That was good stuff. Yeah, it would be cool to have little nitro in Southeast gassers. That'd be cool.
It would be. It would be. We got methanol. We just need some nitro.
Yeah.
And we got the gassers. We'll have all the fuel out there.
Yeah.
We'll have it all, but no electric.
Yeah. None of that.
No electric. No electric. I like my high revving, clutch dumping, winding, shifting through the lights. I love, having like you, and then I've had Jacob and, down there to catch the action at basically the finish line, near the finish line, and have the mic turned up on the camera, and you hear that roar. They sound like old pro stockers, or modified production, and it's such a good sound, so good, so good. It is music to the ears. Dujanay, look, we're going to take a break, and right after the break, let's dive into the MAHLE Motorsport Nationals Mountain Madness at Knoxville Dragway. What an event it was. If you missed it, well, you missed it.
Yeah.
This word from Summit Racing Equipment. We'll go that direction. Thank you, Summit, for all your help. Remember, folks, if you are looking for anything for your racing adventures, Summit Racing Equipment's got it. Summit Racing Equipment. From the store, the catalog, or online, you can get your street rod, hot rod, personal ride, and even race car, including a Southeast Gassers Association ride, ready for action. Build with Summit Racing Equipment. Knoxville Dragway, your first time was this past weekend, Dujanay. Your thoughts on the historic facility nestled in the valley north of Knoxville?
Man, it's nice. It really fits what Southeast Gassers is all about. It was a great crowd. The crowd actually, I thought it was cool to see them actually participating, cheering. They stayed for the majority of the show. It was a little hot over there on that side of the grandstands, but they hung in there. Really, the guys and the girls put on a heck of a show out there. All day was a show. Even in testing and tuning, it was a show. Like I said, you can tell that we're getting down to the nitty gritty. People are trying to jockey for positions. Championships are on the line. So it was a great event. And most importantly, what I loved is just the fact that every driver, some way, somehow, was putting on some type of a show out there while they were racing. And that's what makes this thing great, along with the people in it. And as Quick Draw said, it's a family reunion party. In a drag race breaks out, that is it. You know what I mean? Even us who work and help be able to put this on and for people to be able to see, it really is. We feel a part of that family as well. And it was a good time. It was a really good time. And like I said, fits what Southeast Gassers is all about.
Yes, Knoxville Dragway, again, very similar to Shadyside Dragway. I like what Quain said, find homes, and not just a race venue, but a race home. And Knoxville Dragway definitely is also that to the Southeast Gassers Association. You can see the crowd that was there this past weekend. A good crowd on Friday night. Was very pleased to see that. Saturday, stellar crowd. The times that I've gone to Knoxville, I've never seen the concrete bleachers that full. There's one section, the section I had you in, they don't want anybody sitting in. It's kind of closed off, but that first section you can fill up, and it's bigger than what you might think. And there was a good crowd over there. There was a good crowd on the aluminum bleachers, pit side, and people had lined the alley that you got to take from the pit side to spectator side up to the concrete section, and it was a good crowd. The concessions were slammed the whole time, and Dujan, look, I'm just glad I got in. I left to go get a flagpole of all things, and when you're in streaming and you got Starlink and you're like, well, I need to get this above everything so I get a clear view of the sky, because I've learned that Starlink is adamant, clear view of the sky, clear view of the sky. You just got to have a clear view of the sky. So I check out. When I check out, I went by this long line. I go do my running around. I come back in. There was nobody in line. And I'm like, interesting. Well, I'm glad to get in. I start doing my thing, and by the time it gets, an hour, 45 minutes away from the first round of qualifying, that line had again formed up over the hill that you have to come down and crest to get into Knoxville Dragway. So they just kept streaming in throughout the day. And definitely to the fans of East Tennessee, thank you. To Knoxville Dragway, Wes Clapp, the entire team, thank you. And I also I'm going to bring up this photo. This photo right here. These gents, they were all the way from Sweden. They came specifically to experience the Southeast Gassers Association at Knoxville Dragway. They were going to be around for like 9 to 12 days in the States, but nonetheless, they had SEGA at Knoxville circled. This photo by Adam Dobbs, all the photos you've been seeing by Adam Dobbs. Thank you for the great work, Adam. And right there, Dujanay, I don't know many drag racing outfits that have people come from across the world to experience what is going on. Like, I have encountered people that showed up to Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos from around the world. Obviously, you and I have experienced people at NHRA national events that have showed up around the world. We have seen and experienced people at like a West Buck event from around the world. These are just gassers.
Right.
And they are showing up around the world. And the racing is that special. It is close. You saw it this weekend from your vantage point, perched in the concrete bleachers. Such a great vantage point in all of drag racing. It is such a great angle to experience a drag race. Racing is real within the Southeast Gassers Association. That's why people from Sweden show up to take it all in.
Yeah. It is special. It is special. I feel like there's nothing really like it out there. It's close racing. And again, it's about the cars, but at the same time, it's about the show that these ladies and gentlemen put on that are driving these cars. It's about the show of the backup girls who come out with a different outfit every race, and show up, show out, and really get everyone, set the tone and get everyone immersed of what this is all about. And once you go, it's kind of like going and experiencing Nitro for the first time. Once you go to the Southeast Gas Association race, you'll be hooked. You'll be back. You'll be looking for the next one to go to. It is just that good.
I completely agree. The racing that we were able to take in at Knoxville Dragway did have event champions crowned. It was not just guys and gassers going down the drag strip just for the fun of it, though I hope they had fun, as Quain Stott elaborated earlier for us here on SEGA Live. But winners were crowned, and we'll pick up with Quain Stott. He wins in Todd Hines' car, the Corn Pop Studebaker, and Todd has some issue with his leg. He had a brace out there. He wasn't able to drive. He's been working on this hot rod, and they've been testing it. I even caught him in some testing action at the former Crossville Dragway, now Fitzgerald Motorsports Park there in Crossville, Tennessee. But Quain Stott, in an H-pattern shifting car, not high horsepower, not setting like, blistering ET in mile per hour, but nonetheless having fun at a drag race picks up the win in HGAS.
Now, does he get the points?
No. AFX, it is the only category, from what I understand, that the points go with the car. So, from what I understand, no, Todd, I don't believe he would have incurred any points at this event. Now, speaking of points, though, he is second in points.
Yes.
Right now, Robert Frazier on top. So, depending on whether we see Robert or not, Todd very well could keep marching on and get the championship. We didn't see Colby at this last race. The HGAS field was short this most recent race, and we did lose Joey Little in the orange pillar. Not sure what happened to him. He was there, but then didn't see him roll into eliminations. So hopefully down there at Gulfport, we'll see a larger contingency of the HGAS competitors, a class that people definitely do enjoy, and they are interesting and fascinating cars like Corn Pop, and it being a Studebaker, and many of the cars that are in there. And look, the beautiful Crazy Pony Anglia. What a beautiful car that is. Not just HGAS, but just period. You need to take the time and get up close with this machine. It is a beautiful hot rod. And look, I know it might not have this big bursting, V8 or small block in it and all those type of things, and running like Agas and BGAS, but it is a neat machine and a beautiful machine.
It is. It's right up there. For me, it's right up there with Quick Draw. That's the first car when South Georgia Motorsports Park. When I saw that car, that it stands out. Like it is something that you want to go and take a look at. Like it is very well done, and the same with that and a lot of other cars out there. Just they're very unique. There's little things that you really have to pay attention to that are on these cars that are embedded within the personality of the car. It's pretty cool to see out there. I was really hoping for the Bug to show up. You know how much I love VWs, and I was really hoping for him to take a pass down the track. But I like to know what happened, man. It seemed like they set up on the line and didn't make the pass and never came back. So I was kind of disappointed.
We'll have to do some digging and see what we can find out news-wise on the orange peeler. Sadly, they weren't able to do any peeling down the drag strip there at Knoxville Dragway. And you are right, man. Look, so many beautiful hot rods in the Southeast Gassers Association. You truly get a drag race and a car show. Here's some action from Test and Tune, and the Bad Alibi hot rod you see here in the foreground in the near lane, Ray. That it's a beautiful green, obviously, but with the top of the car, like you doesn't quite give justice here with this particular photo, but the top of the car is like a snake's back almost. It is, and just the paint work that went in just to the top of that car is impressive. And then Pittman and Sword, Alan Pittman over there, just living out iconic gassery with the Willis and it painted red and beautiful red that it is, and the Shield logo. It just screams the period. Two beautiful hot rods in Test and Tune action right there that we've got on screen. Yeah, beautiful.
It's all the cool work and hard work that a lot of the people out there that are driving and racing have put into this thing, and it really is a race and a car show all at the same time. And what makes it even more special is that you have people out there, they have their own shirts that they're selling, they have their own merch that they're selling, and it just gives a different element to it. It makes it more personable. It's probably the most personable form of racing that you're going to ever experience. I am hooked. Let's just say that.
Well, we'll continue on in AFX. The winner is Jeffrey Ferguson in the Wild and Woolly 2 machine. He gets the win over Rob Walden there in the far lane in the Dixie Twister of Rocky Platt. This, I think, for Jeffrey was a redemption win. I know that he had to leave Knoxville Dragway the first time in the spring when they debuted this car with the Southeast Gassers Association, that he felt like he should have got a win.
Yeah.
And arguably that is the case. And it was a roundabout way for him to get to his first win there in Jackson, Tennessee, and West Tennessee, but he backs it up with a win now in East Tennessee, and he's looking to be in his neck of the woods in Gulfport, Mississippi, and click off 2 more wins coming up. But certainly right now, class of the field in AFX with the Wild and Woolly 2 Chevy 2.
Yeah, definitely. A huge win for them. Carries a lot of momentum into this next race, and with 2 races left to go, we'll see what happens. I mean, he really could, if he can put it all together in Gulfport, really could find himself in the top, right behind Todd Wimberly. So, he's not that far off. And let's say you end up matching up with Todd at some point early in the rounds, you really have a good opportunity to come in the Shady side with an opportunity to take the points lead and win a championship. So this could come all the way down to the end, and it's not taking anything away from the Dixie Twister or the Georgia Shaker. But he's got all the right stuff right now after getting that win to put himself confidently come into Gulfport with an opportunity to kind of snag a few spots and put himself in that championship talk.
And to this point, we have not seen all of these 7 cars at the same time.
No.
So, look, I don't know about Gulfport. I don't think we're going to see all 7, but maybe that last race, maybe Shady side, we've got all the cars there, and then we have a completely different race unlike we've had in AFX to date. I know Rob Walden is hungry for a win in that Dixie Twister. I know Rocky Platt's hungry for that car to pick up a win and is certainly capable of doing that. Todd Wimberly has got the Southern Comfort performing well, and not that he can just throttle onto a championship, but he does have a stranglehold right now on the category, but he's still got to go out there and perform. He certainly does not need to go out round 1 anytime soon, and Rob Walden and Alan Platt, Jeffrey Ferguson go on and perform exceptionally well or win. So Todd Wimberly still needs to continue to go rounds. Remember, that car up for sale. So if you want to get into Southeast Gassers Association drag racing, that car is still up for sale the last time that I heard. So somebody, go to the bank. My wife won't let me.
Yeah, mine neither. So
moving right along, we'll look at the Super Stock category. And in Super Stock, look, Jerry Dean, no surprise, another win, dominating again and continuing in dominating fashion. Rob Walden, another final round appearance. The last time he was in the final round in Superstock, he picked up the win there at Brainerd Motorsports Park over Jerry Dean. Well, this is a rematch, and Jerry gets it done on old Rocky Top. And Jerry won the event in the spring. He wins the event here in the fall edition, if you will. And Jerry, certainly the man in Superstock.
Yeah, he is. It's just sick what he's doing right now. He's abusing the field. He's got one heck of a points lead. Rob Walden can continue to put rounds together. He can find himself at least in second place. It's going to take a little bit. It's going to take a miracle to get the way Jerry Dean's running to get to that point. But Rob Waldo could have a really good finish to the season. But man, Jerry Dean is just running exceptionally well. It's almost ridiculous of how well this car is running, how well he's driving this thing, and has been this entire season. So, definitely the class of Superstock.
Certainly. And speaking of in the class, he reestablished the record in the class with a 6:30 with a 5 elapsed time there in competition at Knoxville Dragway. And if we go to Gulfport, as Quain, Stott mentioned, if the conditions are right, we are very well going to see the reestablishing of records once again, if across the board in these categories. We saw it last year, and we have continued to see these cars get quicker and faster, and we very well might see it again, depending on conditions at Gulfport. Gulfport, it will be a prime place for it to happen. Conditions can be so good there. And I don't know look, I apologize. The Friday night Test and Tune stream was not what I want it to be. But Test and Tune is also Test and Tune for the streaming team, because going to Knoxville Dragway, though I had been there before, I've never been there in a streaming sense. And when you go with a mind to stream, there are things you've got to figure out. And one of them is the track internet good? And Knoxville Dragway does have great internet as far as download, but its upload is not what you need to stream. So that's why it looks so fuzzy on the Friday night stream, sometimes down to 144p. Like, oh, it was bad. It was bad. So I hope that you didn't miss it, even though it might have been grainy and blurry. But Jerry Dean sent it in testing, and it went straight up. They got it to sit down. They got it to go right. But, man, he sent that thing in testing.
Yeah, he did. And it was awesome. Just the show that folks were putting on during testing was just awesome. The whole entire weekend, really. But, man, we had so many cool wheel stands out there. Like I said, a show.
Well, speaking of wheel stands, Seagas. So talking with Quain Stott earlier, we obviously know that Jaron Purdue picked up the win. He picked up the win over Tim Hall, two-time champion in the Seagas category and in the Southeast Gases Association. Did it back-to-back, and that is certainly tough competition to get a win over. Jaron does that. Oh, by the way, Tim has not raced at every race this year. He shows up, and he is, oh, no, he's in the field, and he proves that again going to a final round. We talked to Quain. We've talked to Jaron in the past. Jaron's driving right. Quain's tuning right. That car is certainly the top-performing car, and heartbreak for Ernie Smith. Ernie Smith, who had been keeping pace, goes out early, goes out round one, goes down to the quick draw, and that is a huge blow to his championship chase. Granted, we're not done racing, and certainly Ernie's got the driving and Ernie's got the capability in the car to go on and pick up a win, and I think Ernie will pick up a win later on this season. We haven't seen it yet. We've got 3 more races. We're pulling for him. I think we're going to see it, but that hurt in round 1. And then, there was some hurting later on. I believe it was a semifinal round matchup. Josh Pruitt and Tim Hall. Josh Pruitt had something with his Youngblood Fairlane it do that we don't usually see it do. It went out there and did a Adam Lowhorn, and we're not used to him doing it. I mean, the springs came out on this wheel stand. Like you can tell, like he shifts it. Like, okay, settle down, girl, and it just stays up. And when it drops, springs pop. I messaged him, and the damage was not that bad. Let me see if I can pull up the message real quick. I was surprised. I was expecting him to say, this is broke, that's broke.
Right.
This is what Josh Pruitt said. I'm like, what's the damage report? He says, bent the front axle pretty good, going to need some new shocks, and put a good dent in my license plate on the back and my brand new back bumper.
That's minimal because he stood it up on the back bumper. When I saw him hit second gear, it looked like the car just kind of jumped.
Yeah.
And just stood on the bumper. And that was a show. That I know he didn't mean to do that, but boy, those cars were really hooking up really good. And yeah, that he sent it for sure. That was really good looking. And shout out to Tim Hall, man. Like he showed up to 3 races this year. He's won 1. And to have gone to so little races to find yourself in the final, very impressive. Very impressive for Tim Hall to be able to find himself in the final here at Knoxville Dragway. Really, really cool to see that. And Ernie probably kicking himself a little bit. Not dead in the water yet, but definitely going to need to meet Jared Perdue somewhere in the early rounds to get him up out of there, to give him a chance to kind of narrow this gap a little bit and go into Shady Side with an opportunity to seize the championship from Jared Perdue.
And shout out to Diana Casto.
Yes.
She gets that round win against Ernie. And then round 2, if I remember it correctly, it's Jaron. Later on goes and wins the race. She knew that, hey, I don't quite have the ET to beat Jaron, but she did what a driver has to do, and I'm sure she cut the best light of the entire day. 0.001 reaction time in these cars. Extremely tough. And you might say, oh, maybe she took a guess. You might say, oh, she was that far from red lighting, and she missed red light. I don't care. You can frame it however you want. She went out and did what she needed to give herself a chance against a competitor, knowing I need to get all I can get on the line, and you can't get much more.
00. Do we call her 00 now?
Well, quick draw, certainly in that case, is fitting.
Exactly, for sure. Yeah. And really, and not a bad position. You know what I mean? Like, tied with Todd Oden right there at 130, and find yourself going a few rounds, knock a few of the top guys out, and find yourself in the top 3 at least. Come down to the race at Shady Side. So that was an impressive performance. And when you ever need a driver to step up, she was Justin Ashley like right there with that 001.
Right. And she's saying in the comment section it was round 3 there against Jaron, and good day for them. And look, they travel out of West Virginia. I know they're having a blast either which way, and they're running their car and they're having a good time. But hey, to go rounds, it's important every now and then. And again, stepping up when it was needed to give yourself the best chance possible. I mean, look, if Jaron had been late, you don't know, but you've got to give yourself that opportunity. You've got to give yourself that chance in that situation. So kudos to the quick draw group.
We lost it for a second. Great to see the hard work pay off, though. Like, the hard work has paid off big time. And I know they've been working really hard to get that car moving in the right direction. And it's nice to see it pay off. And it paid off this past weekend. And that was cool to see. It's always cool to see, being able to have an opportunity to where I'm, from my vantage point, to see you guys go out there and knowing all the hard work you guys put in, and to see those who maybe have been right there to go rounds, to finally go rounds and put points on the board. That's cool to see.
I like that. See, it's cheaper than therapy.
Yeah. Right.
Cheaper than therapy. Why pay a shrink? Go burn race gas and have some wheel stands and send it down the 8th mile. Why not? Why not? BGAS. Again, continuing the great competition that we had. You've got Blackwell there in the near lane in the beautiful Thunderstruck Thunderbird.
Awesome.
Love that hot rod. It's fitting. Thunderbird, Thunderstruck, just such a good looking hot rod. And Ted McKee over there in the far lane. This is the final you're looking at, as pictured by Adam Dobbs. And the Rocky Top Missile gets it done on Rocky Top, the hometown favorite. Flying the University of Tennessee orange, he gets it done, and it's exactly what Ted McKee needed to do.
Well, at least somebody from Rocky Top could get a win. I mean, somebody had to do it, and he stepped up to the plate and took it. So gave himself an opportunity, too, to get really involved in this points race. 185 right now. Ken Rainwater with the 200-point deal. Man, this is going to come down the stretch. This is definitely something that could come down the stretch, and don't count Michael Loaded and the loose cannon out either. They're not too far behind to get themselves up in top 3, but definitely a good agating for Ted, and an opportunity to put himself in position to get a championship.
Yes, certainly. We've been saying it all along, and we're going to be saying it even in the next show. We've been saying it for several shows now, but ever since it was announced that Gulfport is going to be this double race weekend, it is a wild card. I mean, we're going to have a spectacular event for sure, but it is certainly going to be a wild card. You could have night and day performances, or you could have someone, what if Ken misses it both days, but Ted's on it, or vice versa. We could go into Shady Side and things be done, or we could go in the Shady Side and it be a complete toss-up after this double race weekend coming up there at the Racecation destination, Gulfport Dragway. On into Agas, someone that has certainly been looking for a win, picks up a win. That's Kenneth Phillips in the Silver Streak 2, that Corvette over there in the far lane. I think they've got the thing worked out. Went with one combination, now back with another combination, kind of tried and true, and car is running right. He's driving right and streaks on to a win. Chase Howard, though, in that near lane, he's already got a win this year, picked up at Shady Side, but a very hungry competitor. And I think in particular, he wanted Knoxville 2 because he didn't get Knoxville 1, and he was just late. And he'll tell you that, and he admits that. He was just so late against Leslie Horn in Knoxville 1. I think he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's like, I want to come in and I want to win this race. I will win this race. And he drove, well, in this case, the roof off that thing in the final. It launched, went toward the center line. He drove it back. Eventually, it starts doing its dance, and he gets it sideways, and it rolls over, and it doesn't tumble. It does land back on its all fours, and he gets out unscathed and all right. I think maybe just pride and just frustration and having to deal with Bonnie. But nonetheless, with his performance even at Knoxville and it not being a win, we're looking at a point situation going into Gulfport, and I know they're going to thrash. I know they're working on it. I know they're calling for parts. He's tied.
Yeah. Look, y'all know with what he has in front of him, what Chase has in front of him, I'm not surprised that he tried to drive the wheels off the thing. He wanted to win. He knew exactly what was at stake. And again, like I said, we're coming down to 2 races now. And this was the third to the last race, and he was trying to he's trying to make a move and make a statement. I could see him out of the corner of my eye. I thought he had saved it. But it hooked up the tires at the wrong time and sent them turtle. But man, this is unfortunately, Barry is going to SEMA. So, and I understand he's got, business obligations. I understand. But we got to really, if he was still going to go to these two races, you've got a 7-car race. And I know, 190 to 140 is not that far. A couple of mistakes in first round exits and a few people at the bottom go to distance. This whole thing could be flipped upside down. It could be flipped upside down with the double race we have here in Gulfport. Greg really hasn't shown his potential yet. He's had little things here and there nipping them, but they haven't showed their full potential. And what a statement by Kenneth in this race to come up and get this win. It is, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun coming down to these. Really, we got 3 races left, but 2 races in one. But it's going to be fun. I mean, I can even say the same thing about Ben Christopher. We haven't seen the full potential of what's going on. They've had things that have just bit them.
If I remember correctly, last year Ben was in the final round at Gulfport, lost to Leslie Horn, and he's someone that if we get the conditions like we've been talking about,
he's going to be a problem.
He's going to be a problem. And I look at it right now, if Leslie Horn can just not escape the competition. You look at the season thus far, and there are opportunities that Leslie has had. He could be in a commanding lead right now, but he is not. And in fact, some of the action that we didn't get to see it on track because it didn't happen on track. We learned about it on the live stream because Leslie came to the tower and informed series announcer, the voice of the Southeast Gases Association, David Lancaster, hey, I'm out. And we're like, huh? He's like, well, this is what happened. And we're like, get on the stream. So you got that information over the PA and also on the live stream that he was having a mechanical issue, went by the scales, even though, remember, he picks up the win against Alan Pittman.
Yeah, he did.
He goes by the scales. He knows he has got to weigh, but he's having a mechanical issue. He can't get it to back up. And crew members then touch the car. Well, in SEGA, you are disqualified. It must be weighed before crew touch the car. The win awarded to Alan. Alan goes on in competition, and Leslie does not. So you don't know what kind of action on or off the track might happen in a championship chase. Leslie out there, and then Barry. We haven't mentioned yet, Barry had a very wild Friday night.
Yes.
Test and tune. The car is on a pass, and it starts doing the little wobble, and he loses it through the lights, and it nudges the front end into the wall, and there's certainly some damage. But, yeah, Adam catches this picture before disaster, and Barry is not able to enter the car into competition in a full-fledged fashion on Saturday. So we're glad Barry was all right. Barry's got some great video that you can see on the QuickTime Performance social media outlets, but there was a ton of action on and off the track and behind the scenes at this Knoxville event, and what a great show it was.
Oh yeah, man. There was so many good things going on. And like I said, you could really feel the intensity of what is at stake here. And yeah, Leslie's got a lot of pressure right now. I mean, it is not like people coming up. They're like tapping on his shoulder. That's how close the rest of the competition is right now. And it's going to be, I'm hoping that for all of the categories that it all comes down to Shady Side. Because if it all comes down to Shady Side, Knoxville was off the chain. Can you imagine? We potentially have 3 races that folks are going to be all gas, no brakes.
Right. And it has happened before in the Southeast Gassers Association. I cannot recall now who. So tiebreakers in SEGA work a little different. It's based on who got to that point increment first. And there has been a championship decided by a driver winning it by the tiebreaker. So that's happened in SEGA, and it can happen. And it may happen even this year. Who knows? And it's like, who got to that point increment first? And then there's further beyond that. You know, I mean, well, no, I mean, that is whoever gets there first. That's the tiebreaker. So I think we're going to have that in several categories. I don't think we're going to get that in super stock right now. No. Jerry is just so dominating. I think it is a fight for second, and a good fight for second nonetheless. And there certainly is a fight for 3 remaining wins, but I think Jerry is going to have that. I mean, Jerry at this point would just, he'd have to like go in the hospital, and I don't hope that happens, or he'd, you know, something. Yeah. I mean, it would, you know, just not, he'd have to not show up at this point.
Right. Exactly.
For sure. But man, you look at the battle in like Agas, it is one that I think is going down to Shady Side. Now, Chase had a rough Gulfport last year. I know he wants to turn that around, but they got a lot of work ahead of them. But he has done this in the past. He had that incident at Killcare last year. They worked their butt off to bring that car out, and they brought the car out better than it was before. So he is certainly an individual that is hungry, and he's right there. I mean, it's one of those deals like, if I just got to borrow a car at this point, let me go get my points and stay in the hunt in this thing. So, yeah, we got a good fight.
Good fight, really good fight. And as I've been coming to these things, man, Chase is just, I don't know. You can feel the intensity, like you can feel the intensity when the car hits the track. Like that car was straighter than an arrow, pretty much all of the test and tune. And that thing was flying, man. It was flying. But like I said, I got a feel for a lot of the drivers, and what was on the line, Chase was all gas, no brakes. He was going to do whatever he had to do to get that thing to the finish line to give himself an opportunity to win. And I have no doubt they'll be there in Gulfport.
They're going to get it done.
Oh, yeah.
The race down there at Gulfport is going to be a good one, but we just wrapped up a spectacular race on Old Rocky Top. Once again, to all the fans, thank you. To Wes Clapp and team of Knoxville Dragway, thank you. To the competitors of the Southeast Gasser Association who put on the show, thank you. Man, it was a good time had by all. We look forward to talking about the race that's going to be taking place at Gulfport Dragway the Wednesday before that race weekend right here on SEGA Live. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the share button, dive into the comment section. We want to know that you were watching along. And folks, if you missed it, content will be rolling out on the Southeast Gassers Association YouTube channel. And by the way, even right now, you can see the full live replay, qualifying all the way down to the final rounds of the live stream. Dugenay, Chris Barrett, Adam Dobbs, and others such as David Lancaster and everyone involved, Angela, Bonnie, Rocky. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'm going to leave somebody out. Sorry, but to the entire crew, good job. We had a good race, and we're looking forward to Gulfport.
Looking forward to it, man. I can't wait.
All right, folks, I'm Lee Kraft, and for Mr. Dugenay Bland, this has been SEGA Live. Thank you, Quain Stott, for your time. We look forward to seeing you all on the Gulf. God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.